Hi guys, what's up? This is a random live stream. I didn't plan to like do this one, and I had to upload a video today, but I got a terrible cold right now. Uh, I'm not sure if you can guys can guess about it through listening to me because my voice is like messed up right now. Hi guys. Yeah, so as I was saying, um, I had to upload a video today. I did all the things, I prepared for it, and I was shooting it. And as you can see, I even got a haircut and got my beard done just for the same reason to like shoot a video tutorial on Git. And I was also planning some videos on open source as well because uh, we kind of I kind of some people suggested me that I get a lot of questions where people are asking me about how to get started with open source and things like that. And to be very honest, I mean, open source is something that is not my forte. I've hardly ever made any open source contributions up until this point of time in my career. But it's something that I don't find very challenging or difficult to do. I mean, it definitely opens up a lot of opportunities, but it's not like you won't be able to get started just because you're a beginner, or you know um, you won't be able to contribute to projects. So students, they usually have a lot of questions around these things, questions like how to approach larger code bases, how to understand these big code bases, because most of the times when you open up uh, a repository, you would see that it's the project is already kind of very big, right? So a lot of students gets overwhelmed because of that we are not able to understand what the repository is about, what the project is about, or how the code is written, what part of code is doing what, and things like that. So I get a lot of then they're not able to identify what would be uh, first good issue to start with in open source, and things like that. So all of this stuff, it's not difficult, but I was doing some research on YouTube, kind of looking at other people videos, what they have created regarding open source and things like that. So there are a lot of guidance videos that are available, but there's a process to open source, right? By process I mean that how you search for repositories, search for projects that you can contribute to in the beginning, and things like that. And then eventually you move forward, and look at the issues that are there, that are available, find the issue that you can contribute to. So that's there. Then after that, you usually just try to go through the code base once, just to understand, if this is the issue that I want to solve, that then like where is the code available for this issue in this like giant repository, right? So you try to look for try to understand the code base, and you maybe fork the project, make some changes, raise a PR. Then there's a lot of back and forth going with the maintainers of the project. They'll point out that this could have been done better, or they'll ask explanation for certain things, like why did you do this kind of stuff or that kind of stuff in the in your PR, and things like that. And once all that back and forth gets completed, only then does your PR gets merged? If it gets merged, and that is when it's considered as an open source contribution, right? So I mean, a lot of things happen in this process, revolve around the process. So uh, I mean, so that's why I mean I asked. I just kind of raised a few questions on my social media that if you are interested in such things, because I came across a lot of repositories, and also Hacktoberfest is coming up. So I mean it's a big event where people just celebrate open source and get most of the people get started with open source through programs like these, because they have a great outreach throughout the tech community. A lot of people are sharing about them, and a lot of newbies get to know about open source and things like that because of these programs. So yeah, so I mean, and since I mean the next set of videos that I was gonna do was anyway about Git, and getting started with Git and things like that. It's kind of very well intertwined with how you can also get started with open source if you have a little bit of knowledge. Because I mean, since I have been inactive since a very long time, it's not like you guys have not been working, right? I mean, a lot of you have already started with development. I just some of one of you just saying that you just completed full stack web development. Omkar says that he completed full stack web development and things like that. So I mean, all these things, if you look at it, you can get started with open source if you have not already, and again it's going to help you become part of a lot of communities and things like that. So we are going to do that. And coming back to the question of me uploading videos. So I'm not sure if you guys can make it out, but my I mean, I've got a pretty bad cold. I got a haircut just to shoot the video today. I was about to do it this morning, but I mean, I got a cold, and a bad one at it. And I mean, my voice is breaking a little bit, I think, and I also have a fever right now, so that is the reason why I didn't shoot today. But I mean, I still felt that I should, do at least a live, because this is not something major. I mean, it's not like I have a viral fever or something or anything like that, but it's something that is going to get better, I guess, in a couple of days. Maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow it will be all gone, right? Because I mean, I am someone who gets this kind of cold or something when the season is changing, right? So recently, I mean, there have been a lot of rainfall, and uh, the weather is getting a little bit cold, I think. uh, so I mean, that weather change kind of gives me this thing, but the timing was pretty bad because today I had to shoot a video, but I got the cold today itself. So I mean, that was pretty unfortunate. uh, but yeah, I mean, I have the content ready for the next set of videos, and I was about to start shooting them. So it's just delayed by a couple of days because of this cold, but it will be there. And since Hacktoberfest is coming, I intend to create the open source videos at a pretty fast pace. But since I cannot create open source videos without actually creating some videos on Git and things like that, so both of those things are gonna go parallelly. And I mean, in the coming week or something, there are going to be a lot of videos. I mean, videos coming maybe every alternate day or something like that. So that's how it's going to be, because Oktoberfest has a set date from 1st October to 31st October, right? So we can't miss out on that window. So we are going to understand what open source is and how you can make contributions. I mean, I'm not going to exactly get into what open source or what these events or things like that is, but majorly what I'll be focusing on is that I'm a complete, you could say that I'm a complete newbie in open source, right? I have like hardly ever made any contributions in it. So just like you, I'm a beginner in open source, right? But I don't find it difficult to, find repositories and contribute to them, right? So I'm just going to walk you through how I am doing it. Just create a videos on, how I'm browsing through the repositories, going through their code bases, finding issues that I can contribute to, and even making contributions, raising PRs for those contributions, getting them, merged into their repositories, and completing one complete open source contribution. So not just one, I'll be doing multiple open source contributions through various projects. um, but that is going to give you an idea, and that is going to, I think, going to give you hope that someone as beginner as me who has never done any open source contribution just like you can easily do it, right? So you'll get an overall idea that how you can basically do that. Hi Apurv Pro, I'm learning DevOps, want to contribute in open source but unable to find repositories. Yeah, so I mean that is going to be covered. I mean that they're not going to be very big videos or anything like that. It's going to be very short videos, 20 to 30 minutes tops, right? And it's going to be a series of 5 6 videos only, right? But those 5 6 videos are going to cover up the entire process of finding the repositories and finding code first issues, and going through the code bases and making the contributions and getting them merged, right? So each and every of this step is going to have one video, and then finally, I mean, there's going to be one more video where which would be a big one, I mean 1 hour or something like that. And in that video, I mean, I'm going to just take one issue and going to walk you through how I'm doing it on that one repository from start to end. Looking nice and haircut, bro. I got it for like to start shooting videos. So because I mean, I generally have two modes. If I have long hair, I'm usually in kurta pajama or something like that. But I mean, since I started my YouTube with short hair, I'm going to keep it that way. So I again, I mean, my hair got pretty long, something of like that. But I mean, I had to get a haircut because I had to shoot a video today. Can I get a remote job during college? Uh, you can get a remote internship during college for sure, right? And those internships, usually, uh, as you're performing good, because these startups and companies, they don't usually want to lose good candidates, right? So if you're performing good, then gradually they are going to increase your workload, but are still, I mean, workload as in your compensation, and they're going to start expecting more out of you, but your workload would more or less become similar because you are also constantly learning and improving, right? And eventually, I mean, these internships, remote internships, they are going to convert into full-time remote jobs once you're graduated, similar to how Kunal did, right? But he was doing a lot of other stuff along with uh, his college. And I mean, he didn't used to go to college. His attendance was almost always zero or something. He only attended exams or important dates, things like that. He never attended lectures or anything. So the time spent in college for him was almost negligible. And apart from that, I mean, all the time that he had throughout the day, he did a lot of stuff. Yeah, thanks, Tanmay. I mean, see, landing a remote job through open source is going to be entirely your journey, right? What I'm going to, I mean, my only objective with this mini series, along with the Git videos and the front end course, is going to be that you get started with open source, right? Once you're started with open source, then I mean, it's all your hard work and how you find your path and things like that. So I mean, and I mean, once you get involved in any open source project or things like that, then it becomes kind of very easy to gradually, start becoming more active in the community. And eventually, I mean, if they have any roles, then these communities, more often than not, they try to look for people who are already a part of their community whenever they are hiring, right? So if you become part with, let's say, 2 3 different communities or things like that, then I mean, it's going to, and you stay consistent with that for, let's say, a period of 3 to 6 months, then eventually, I mean, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities through open source, right? That's the general mantra of how things happen. Will you cover the whole series before Hacktoberfest? uh yeah, so I mean, my general idea is that I'll start the series, like the first video of the series would happen in this week only. And I mean, since this is something uh, that isn't going to take much time, creating videos on open source, making open source contributions, because I'm just going to document how I am making contributions, and just going to speak a little bit about it in the middle, right? I mean, whatever Google searches I'm doing, or whatever things I'm doing in my PC while I'm doing it, I'm just going to record it, right? And I'm just going to upload it without any editing or anything. Now, of course, I mean, if let's say I'm doing Google searches, and I spent like, 1 hour, 2 hours doing Google searches or things like that. So some of the things out of it are going to be unnecessary, right? The things that I search, I'm not going to remove them. It's just that they are going to be played at 2x, 3x speeds, right? So that it can be covered fast, right? So it's not like I'm going to edit anything out of it. It's just that I'm going to document my journey and upload it. So it's not a big pain to, create the videos for open source. And even if, I mean, the videos are not, because Hacktoberfest starts from what, 1st October, right? And today is 18th, right? So I mean, the first couple of videos would already be there for the before the Hacktoberfest. If let's say a couple of videos remain, then they would be covered in the first week of October only, because I mean, the entire point of creating this mini series is for Hacktoberfest only, because a lot of, projects and communities are going to participate in Hacktoberfest, and a lot of, people are going to participate as contributors and maintainers. So I think the application opens on 26th September or something. So make sure to fill that up if you want to participate. And there you are going to find a lot of, repositories that are already there. So I'm even going to create one video where I'm going to participate as a contributor this time around, right? And I'm going to create a video on how, all the videos are, all the repositories, all the projects are a part of Hacktoberfest, how I'm going through them, how I'm choosing a project and things like that. So that is also going to be there, but we'll have enough to get started at least. Even if, I mean, some things are in the gray area, even then you'll have something to get started with. uh, Thanks, Rishika, thanks. There are myriad Linux courses, but yours being the most meticulous. Thank you. अच्छा ये ओ so Vaishno माता भक्त मंडली इज आस्किंग दैट भाई मन के ऊपर बेस्ड कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स बताओ फाइनल ईयर के लिए. आई एम नॉट एबल टू सी राइट नाउ प्रॉपरली. आई वाज रीडिंग इट एज मेम, इसलिए आई स्किप द क्वेश्चन. मर्न के ऊपर, आई मीन, सी, if you are working with mern is what, mongo, express, react and node.js, right? So I mean, since it's Node, and it works asynchronously, then you can create, some real-time dashboards or things like that, because you're using Mongo, right? So you're using Mongo, and you're already, using Express along with Node.js, and your front end is going to be on React.js. So if you're taking up Mern, then you can do some real-time projects, right? And by real-time projects, I mean, take a website, any news website. If let's say an event is going on, let's say we talk about, an event is going on, maybe the parade of 26th Republic Day or Independence Day, something like that is going on. Then these news websites generally, show updates of the events happening live in the website. So try to create some projects that are live in that sense. You can create live dashboards, you can create live news feeds, live blogs, things like that. There are a lot of projects, because Mern, as a, it's usually used for, these real time projects more often than not, because if your projects are static, then you don't have to, worry about which tech stack to use. But if it's something that is updating in real time, then I mean, Mern is a very good stack for that. And also, I mean, you can go with basic projects as well. Basic projects, as in, there are a lot of projects going around, library management system, and things like that. These projects, I mean, keep them for testing out your metal and your skills, right? Don't go for projects that you want to showcase to someone that the project should look good, or it should be, very eye catching, or things like that. All of that can happen later. If you want to build projects just to test your metal, right, as a developer, if you can pull it off or not, go with relatively simple projects or projects that are updating in real time, right? What's the working hours of remote job internship? uh Working hours, I mean, usually it's up to you. You can work at any given time that you want, but I mean, sometimes there are some, meetings and things like that that you cannot miss on. So either they are going to be happening at late hours or early in the morning, right? Now, it depends if the team that you're working remotely with is based out in US, because if it is, then most probably it's going to be late at night or early in the morning. But if the team that you're working with is in Europe or something, then I mean, around evening or around lunchtime is what you're going to have your meetings on, right? Is BCA degree worth it? BCA, I'm not sure. I mean, see, if your aspirations are to do remote jobs and things like that, then BCA is not worth it, because it doesn't adds anything to the resume, in my opinion, right? But I created a video on pros and cons of dropping out of college, so you can go through that. What's coming? So basically, a mini series on open source along with Get videos are coming. And again, just to repeat, I mean, I had to shoot a video today. That's the only reason why I got a haircut, also, because I usually don't get my hair cut. But I had to shoot a video today, so I got a haircut. But I mean, since I caught this cold and my voice is breaking a little bit, uh, I'm not sure if I can shoot today. The initial plan was that I'll shoot today, so I have all the content ready for it. So I had to shoot today and schedule it today for tomorrow. So it would have been uploaded tomorrow. But this entire thing is going to be delayed by a couple of days. So in the meantime, while I'm recovering from this cold, I'm going to work on the open source series so that we are not lagging behind in that. And then I mean, some back to back videos are going to come up. I mean, as soon as I'm ready to shoot videos again, I'm able to shoot videos again, I'll make sure that I have content available for at least the next 5 6 videos or something, and I'll shoot it back to back and upload it back to back, something like that. Tanmay says, yeah, I want to get started with Hacktoberfest, so in future it can be confident with other open source internships like LFX mentorship. Yeah, I mean, if you get started with Hacktoberfest, it's a very good, first program to get started with Hacktoberfest, honestly, right? Because you're not under any kind of pressure or anything like that. I mean, ठीक है. I mean, if let's say you come across a repository and you can make some contributions, make it. If not, you can always review what other people are doing, what kind of PRs, you can add some repositories in your watch list, right? And you can check these repositories every couple of days, just to see what kind of PRs are coming in, and what that issue was about that the PR is solving, and how is it solving it, right? So all of these small tricks that you can do helps you in getting better and better with understanding larger code bases and getting an idea about what other people usually do, right? So the main thing is that once you start feeling that it's not that difficult that you're expecting it to be, then I mean it kind of becomes very easy, because since you have not started it right now, if you're a complete beginner, you never made an open source contribution, since you have not started it right now, it might be looking a bit overwhelming, that I mean a lot of things are going on, and your PRs are publicly available, so your code is publicly available and things like that. But eventually, once you get started, it all becomes very easy, right? In order to learn backend development and get job, do I need to learn basics of front end dev? Uh, I mean, if you're going for a complete backend part, then a little bit knowledge of front end helps, but not necessarily. You can get a job completely on your backend skills, but then I mean the backend skills should be at a different level, right? I mean, you should be able to understand how different architectures are built, how what different design patterns are, and things like that, and what kind of architecture to choose when you're building backend for different sorts of applications, because each and every application have a different structure, should follow a different structure if you want to scale the product, right? So you can go with completely backend development as well, but a little bit of front end would help. Otherwise, you need to be like very good with backend. I mean, you need to understand these dynamics of backend as well. It's not just about what kind of applications you can build, but you know it's more about how in depth your knowledge is about backend. So only then would you be able to get good remote jobs, because even when we talk about remote jobs, see, I mean, in today's time, a lot of people are pursuing remote jobs, right? A lot of people want to get remote jobs. So we've reached a situation where the remote jobs are there, right? But it's still a very highly competitive space, right? I mean, a lot of people are applying for those remote jobs, right? Because everyone wants to get into remote space at this point of time, right? There are still a lot of jobs that are offline, in office, and things like that, but even the people who are doing offline and in office jobs want to get into the remote space. So it ends up making the remote space very competitive, right? And I mean, you're not just competing with your peers in India, things like that, you're competing with people globally when you're looking for a remote job, right? Because if a remote job is posted in, let's say, Europe or USA or things like that, it's not like only Indians are going to apply to it, right? It could be people from China, it could be people from Europe, it could be people from USA itself, right? So it's I mean, in that sense, if you're just if you're good at just one skill, right, like backend, and you want to get a remote job, you need to be really good at it, right? Otherwise, I mean, that's when the T-shaped developer comes into picture, right? That people prefer you over others because you might have decent backend skills, but you also possess some other skills that other developers might be lacking, which might come in handy for the team. So they chose you over others, right? Bro, Python is suited for DSA, for remote job interviews, and not for FANG. Your view on it? I think a lot of FANG companies also, I mean, all the DSA rounds that you will ever give, they always give you an option to choose a language of your preference while attempting DSA. It's not like you only have to do DSA in Java or C or C++ plus plus or things like that. You can also choose languages, yeah, like Python or even JavaScript, if that's what you are good at, right? And FANG or not FANG doesn't matter. I mean, all the DSA rounds that you're ever going to give, they're going to give you an option of which language do you want to solve this question in, right? And a lot of Python devs also get jobs in FANG companies, right? So it's not like you have to be good at Java. If you are interested more in Python, then stick with Python. Get good at it. Does degree has no hindrance for getting remote jobs? Um, it makes easier to shortlist candidates, to be very honest. But even in today's time, I mean, a lot of remote jobs that are being posted, they just ask you for the best work that you have completed up until now, or a resume if you have one, right? So I mean, come across a lot of jobs that are just, wanting me to submit the best work that I've done so far, or my resume if I have one. And I mean, never in my interviews also anyone has asked me if I have a degree or not. So I'm not sure if degree. Obviously, if you want to get into FANG or these MNCs and things like that, then I mean it might be a little bit of hindrance because. Most of the times, more often than not, I mean, they're just filtering candidates based on their qualification, education qualifications first, and things like that, right? So then it might become a hindrance unless you're recommended by a recruiter or something like that. But if you're just talking about remote jobs in any startup or anything like that, then I don't think if it's going to be an issue. Can you share your story on how you met Shanu and became his student? Uh, well, we were just, I mean, I was in Dharamshala and he was in Dharamshala too, and we are both a part of an organization, right? And yeah, I mean, we both were part of an organization, and I mean, soon enough, both of us had a fallout with that organization. He had it too, and I had it too, right? So he continued living in Dharamshala for a bit, whereas I came back to Delhi for some time. But I mean, he was getting a lot of projects, and he needed someone to work on those projects along with him, right? So that's when he called me up, and he already knew that I was pretty interested and passionate about coding, and I picked up skills at a very good pace. Even I was already doing a little bit of freelancing, right? So he called me up and he told me to come to Dharamshala to him, and I got to him. We worked on a few projects together, and eventually, I mean, we continued living together for as flatmates for about 2 years or something. So that's how I met him, and that's how I became his student. Now, obviously, I mean, he was much more knowledgeable than me because, I mean, I had what about 3 4 years, 3 4 months of experience, whereas he was sitting with 5 years of experience. So even I, was very interested in learning from him since he had so much experience already, and that was the time when remote jobs was not a thing, right? Remote jobs became more prominent after COVID, but I mean, still he was working remotely at that point of time where it was like very difficult to get remote jobs, right? So he's working remotely, and even I, since I used to do a little bit of freelancing and things like that, even I used to do it completely remote. So we just had a very, n- like a nice vibe around us, and it just clicked. Data structure knowledge required to work in open source? Nope. Can you give a hint about your salary as a bit of motivation? I mean, see, I mean, like at what point of time? If today, I mean, I go into looking a job or anything like that, I'll easily, I think, get a salary of about 3 to 4 lakhs per month or something like that. I mean, that's not that big of a deal to get a salary that much. Might even get more. I'm not sure. I haven't tested the waters yet. But yeah, I mean, that's a basic scene at this point of time. And I have what about 4 years of experience, 4.5 years of experience, something like that. What after Get and open source series? So Get series, it's not like Get series and open source series. They're going to be, so I'm going to continue with Get and front end videos. It's just that I'm going to take out 1 week out of the entire thing to work on some open source videos. So open source series is just going to be a side thing. It's not going to be a main thing or anything like that. For main thing, we are only going to continue with Get and front end only, and the Get video that is there, it's just going to be 2 3 videos for Get, and after that we are going to get started with uh, front end, right? What's your first remote job experience? I was working from Dharamshala for a Melbourne-based startup, and we I mean the main person we were working with, he used to come to India. He came to India a couple of times. We went on some trips together as well, and it was a great experience. um, and Yeah, I mean, what do I tell about that experience? Doing masters in USA, is it worth it? You'll get opportunities to get settled there if you do masters from USA. It's relatively easier to get settled in USA after doing a masters from there compared to if you directly want to work in USA from India. What do you think about controversy that happened between Kunal and Fang and few months ago? Uh well, I mean, I'm a person who wants to stay as away as I can from any sort of controversy, right? I mean, see, each and every person, I believe, it's my personal belief, right, that each and every person who is um sharing their experiences, who is creating content or whatever it is, I mean, whatever the people are doing, they are doing it based on their own experiences, right? Now some of the people might be doing it to make some extra few bucks, maybe as a side gig or something like that, because content creation, eventually it will uh, bring you some money, right? And I mean, it's not something that to be I mean, it's not something that is hidden anymore, right? So content creation, a lot of people are talking about it. It can help you in getting some money as well, right? Now some people, make it as a business. They create their websites, create paid courses and things like that, create boot camps, all these boot camps that are there, that attend our boot camp will get you a job, and after that, we you have to pay us this much amount and things like that, right? But each and every individual that is there, they are sharing their experiences. They are doing it according to them. For example, if you talk about me, I am going to create only those sort of videos that I have experience in, right? I'm not going to get into stuff that I don't know anything about, right? And I mean, all the opinions that I share, I just share that based on my experiences, right? So I mean, it's fine if let's say there are Fang developers who say that DSA is pretty important and things like that. I think the whole controversy was around DSA, right? So it's fine if they are saying that DSA is important, because it's not it's like it's not uh, it's pretty clear that if you want to get into fan companies or anything like that, you have to be like very good with DSA, right? Without DSA, you're not going to get into these kinds of companies, right? Recently, I mean, one of my friends, Rahul Rana, whom I did a podcast with as well, he got an offer from Ireland, Amazon Ireland, right? And he got a package of what about I mean, he got a good package. I'm not sure exactly how much his package is, but he got a good package, and he had a very like extensive DSA round to clear the interviews and things like that. So if the Fang developers say that DSA is important, they are sharing their own point of view because they had to work hard with DSA in order to make it in life, right? On the other hand, if you talk about people like Kunal, people like me, even I'm not that good with DSA, right? And Kunal might be good with DSA. He is good with DSA. He created a course on DSA, right? But he still doesn't promote it. He still says that you can do much better without DSA as well. And I'm personally a firm believer of that, right? That without much of DSA, you can still make it in life. So I mean, we are talking about our experiences because up until this point of time, even my DSA is not that great or things like that. But still, I mean, I never faced any issues just because, my DSA is not great. And even Kunal, he was able to come up with opportunities. He was able to receive so many opportunities and things like that without the help of DSA, right? So we just share our experiences. Now, I don't find any point of why to create controversies around that and why to especially roast each other that ये बंदा ऐसा है वो बंदा वैसा है. क्यों करना है भाई? मतलब अपना अपना काम करो भाई. जिससे सीखना सीखो. तुम जिससे I mean whoever the person is who you are able to resemble with, right, whom you are able to relate with, right, just follow that person and things are going to be uh, things are automatically going to fall into place for you. फ्रंट एंड बैक एंड रोड मैप देख लो कम्युनिटी क्लासरूम के. क्या है कम्युनिटी क्लासरूम का रोड मैप? कोर्सेज. Not able to find the road map. Where is it? Explore our courses. Full stack development coming soon. Even the page is not opening. Where do I see the roadmap? Leave it. Can you share your whole working journey along with compensation? That's a big story. I'm not sure I can do that right now. Do degree really matters for a remote job? I've already answered that. What do you think about Namaste JavaScript playlist by Akshay Saini? It's a good playlist. I watched a few videos. It's really in depth. He touches the topics that no one else does. So I mean, it's a very good playlist. Namaste JavaScript. Till when we can start freelancing? Through your bootcamp by the end of this year. How do I learn more stacks as a web dev? If you're good with one tech stack, then it's just mostly just syntax. I mean, you're already aware about all the things that go, how to create MVC architectures, what views are, what roots are, how to deal with databases and things like that, how to create architectures. So once you are good with one tech stack, other tech stacks are not that big of a thing. I mean, you can easily pick other tech stacks and even create projects in a span of 1 month or something like that, right? I missed a lot of messages in the middle, I think. Tane Pratap said that AI cybersecurity is not worth learning as a student. No comments. From where do you belong? Delhi. Mashallah, you Muslim? I didn't know. I mean, see, I personally don't believe in religion or anything. I'm an atheist. I'm going to remain an atheist. But I'm not a Muslim. I mean, I have a lot of Muslim friends, good friends, right? And I mean, I never get into that Hindu Muslim stuff. That's just bullshit. Humans are humans. I mean, what religion do they follow, want to follow? How does that matter? I mean, everyone is a human at the end of the day. What other fields you'd like to pursue except for computer science? Traveling. Bro, please have a look at front end and back end roadmap of community classroom. I'm not able to find the roadmap. I explored their website. as you asked me right now, I'm not able to find the roadmap where it is. When are you leaving India? I don't want to leave India permanently. I want to travel abroad, but I don't want to leave India permanently. I think India has a lot to offer as well. I mean, you can, you can have a good lifestyle in India as well. So I'm not sure what type of question is that. How old are you, Bhaiya? I'm soon to be 24 years old next month. Currently, I'm 23. What and where to practice for getting good in development? What happened and where to practice for getting good in development? What and where to practice? Uh, Build a lot of stuff. That's the only answer to that. Please have a look at front end. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Companies still ask for DSA, right? So Abhishek says that companies ask for DSA even in internships, and I'm really poor in DSA, right? So I agree that companies still ask for DSA, and that's one point to consider when you again talk about the controversy that happened between Kunal and others, right? So it's still a factor, but on the other hand, there are a lot of opportunities that you can get through open source as well. So, the only reason why Kunal even had that controversy, I think, was because he's an advocate for open source, right? And he believes that open source creates a lot of opportunities, regardless of you if you have DSA or not. Right. So it's just coming from two different directions, right? They were like one was discussing about companies, that need this DSA to clear interviews and get jobs, and the other was talking about opportunities that are generated through open source in which you don't need that much DSA, right? So they were just coming from different points of views, and uh, who is more talented, Kunal or you? It's not a question for me to answer. It's not even a question. Why does it even matter who is more talented? Right? We both had our different journeys, and I mean the general rule is that you should never compare yourself to anyone, and that applies to you as well. Rohit Prasad, you are the one asking this question, and you are the one who also is being troubled with things like someone said this to me and someone said that to me, and you keep asking how you should deal with those things because they keep coming back into your mind. So I mean, the kind of questions that you're asking is the reason why you need to change your mindset as well. If you are asking me who is more talented between me and Kunal, then it's pretty clear that you compare yourself to others as well. That am I more talented than this person? Am I more talented than that person? And if you have that kind of mentality, you'll never be happy. You'll never have a peace of mind. And if you don't have that peace of mind, you'll never be able to study or grasp concepts and move forward. So I again lost a lot of messages. Yes, Hassan, I have a cold. That's why I couldn't shoot a video today. Said advice to do how to manage UX. I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay in this stream any longer. I'm feeling pretty fatigued right now, and I'm not able to even see the messages properly that are coming. How good the story associated with a person be along with necessary skills to portray your character and other qualities. I didn't understand the question. Maybe I'm just hazy right now. Can you shed some light on habit of productive people like you, Kunal? How do you guys explore things and get to know what you want and aggressively learn it very well and point of accepted standards? I'll show you something. So I'm not the person who usually creates manages my work digitally or anything like that. I'm more of a person who just write some notes. So each and every morning that I wake up, I just have a set of things that I have to do written in this diary. Right. So you can see this diary. I mean, I usually fill out an entire page of this that these are the things that I want to do today, and my only objective for that day is to complete that thing. Right. So I mean, that's a general thing. Now, I don't like to maintain these checklists online. There are a lot of to do applications and things like that, and I've tried a lot of them. But the thing is that writing them down myself manually with my hand kind of reinforces that to me. And read a couple of blogs about it as well online. You know how, if there's a difference if you do things on paper or if you do things digitally, and I found quite a lot of pros and cons. So I think I'm more of a person who likes to do stuff manually with pen or pencil on a paper rather than maintaining things. And once I do that, I mean, I just have one objective in my mind that I have to complete this before sleeping. And that's how, I mean, if even if I want to study something, I'm not someone, just like even other people say, I don't study in a way that I just open a tutorial or anything like that. What I do is, if I want to study something, I just come up with a project that ठीक है ये बनाते हैं, let's make this, right, using this technology that I want to learn, right. So let's make this, and once I start building it, what I usually do is, if let's say I'm learning a technology Next.js, right, so what I'll usually do is, the first step that I can possibly do to build a project with Next.js is how to set up a project with Next.js, right. So my simple Google search is how to set up a project with Next.js, or even better, I can just open the documentation of Next.js, right, and see how the project is set up. I'll set up my project. Now my next goal is to create one particular page, or maybe one particular backend function or something like that, or maybe integrate my application with a database, something like that, right. So I mean, I even if you're asking about how we learn aggressively or things like that, it's because we don't just spend time on learning. We are learning while we are building it. I mean, I'm not talking about Kunal, but for me, that's the method. I'm not sure how he does it, but क्या हाल है भैया, बाय द वे? भाई कोल्ड हो रखा है। हालत टाइट चल रही है बहुत, बुखार सा भी हो रहा है, एंड I'm not even able to sit properly. I'm just doing it. भाई जीएफ है? नहीं है भाई। नहीं है। मोह माया है भाई। एवरीथिंग सब मोह माया है भाई, ये सब चक्करों में मत पड़ो, पढ़ने की उम्र है, पढ़ लो। हमने करके देख लिया है अपने पास्ट में, कुछ नहीं होता। सब मोह माया है। 2-3 साल बर्बाद कर दोगे अपनी ज़िंदगी के, और कुछ नहीं होगा। जब पढ़ लिख के कुछ अच्छा बन जाओगे, कर लोगे, उसके बाद ढूंढना गर्लफ्रेंड वर्लफ्रेंड, आराम से एकदम। टाइम भी रहेगा तुम्हें उसको देने के लिए, अपना भी टाइम वेस्ट नहीं कर रहे होगे, थोड़ी मेच्योरिटी भी आ जाएगी ज़िंदगी में, कहाँ टाइम देना है, कहाँ नहीं देना, कितना देना है, कितना नहीं देना। तो बीसीए के बाद एमएससी करने का स्टिल प्रॉब्लमेटिक हुआ, फाइन। एमएससी इज़ व्हाट, मास्टर ऑफ साइंसेस, राइट। तो बीसीए के बाद एमसीए करोगे ना ब्रो? खबरें इज द नेम। BCA, after BCA you should do MCA, but I mean, if you do BCA plus MCA, I think I'm not sure about this one, but a few people have told me, I may be wrong, right? Or the trends might have changed. But if you do BCA and after that you do MCA, MSc is like a completely different thing, right? It's just a master's degree, but not in computers applications, right? So if you do BCA and after that you do MCA, some people say that it's still considered a equivalent to a BTech degree, right? So I mean, if your goal is FANG, then a better option would be Twitter Pay. I mean, currently there are a lot of recruiters and people who are willingly helping and things like that. So DM a couple of recruiters and ask them that if I do BCA and after that I do MCA, like how much my chances will improve for FANG, right? A simple question. Harry, till 2023 and in which part of bootcamp we will be. So if you have watched my my what my if you have watched my roadmap, uh, if you have watched my roadmap, then whatever I talked about in my roadmap, that would definitely be completed by next year's end. I have no doubt about it. And after that, we might start with a little bit of other things as well. In my roadmap, I said that you can get up to 25 LPA, 12 to 25 LPA, something like that after that roadmap, right? But I mean, that was just some general figures, right? I mean, if you get really good with those technologies, if you become part of open source and explore other things as well, do a lot of, work that you should otherwise do, then I mean, you can get even higher packages, right? And if you don't, do anything at all, just learn these things, don't build many projects, and are not following, applying to regular jobs from Naukri.com or things like that, then you might even get even less package than 12 LPA, right? So, but I mean, that would definitely be completed, that roadmap that I discussed, and a new roadmap will be out as well, talking about things that comes after that, right? Can have a nice day. Thanks, Uday. uh, when to start applying for internships, start applying today. Even if you don't know anything, start applying. what I mean, what's the worst that would happen if you apply to an internship? They're going to reject you, right? They are going to you come into a position where you can ask them. Obviously you should have a certain amount of skills when you're applying for that internship, but if you apply to that internship and even if they reject you, just simply ask them, politely ask them, what's the reason why you're rejecting me and how can I improve myself, right? Get some pointers out of them, that these are the things that you're weak at and you need to improve and things like that. You get those pointers, take them and work on it, right? In a couple of weeks again apply for internships, right? So it's not like when should I apply for internship, start applying today if you have a little bit of skills. I'm Hamish, by the way. Yes, Hassan, I know. uh Haldi ka doodh, lol. Yeah, I know you are Hamish because even in Discord server you changed your name. So I was like looking at the admin list and I saw a name Hassan and I was like, who is this? And then I like knew that this was you. Do you watch anime? I watched a few. Uh, my favorite one, I mean, my favorite one is Dragon Ball Z, right? Not Z, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing if it's super or anything like that. But I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to watch the next part of it because all the granola and all that stuff, I don't like that what's going on in the manga. And apart from that, I watched Naruto, I watched Death Note. Uh, I'm planning to watch Attack on Titans. I've watched Demon Slayer. So yeah, I mean, I watch manga. I watch anime. Do you read self-development books? Yes, a lot. And I think I just created a list of a few books that I wanted to read in my Kindle. I even installed those books. I'm not sure where I wrote it down. I have to find where I wrote it down. Yeah, but I read some self development books. They usually just, help you develop your mindset, I guess. Yes, so if you create so it's Siddharth says by story, I mean by the brand created by a person around himself and what he advocates. So if you are if you successfully are able to create a brand around yourself and you're able to advocate that, then that, I mean, definitely it kind of adds to your marketing skills as well, because I mean you're able to promote yourself to that point, and you're able to maintain yourself and your brand image and things like that. So all of those skills add up along with your technical skills, so that's when positions and devrel becomes easier for you, right? I mean, in fact, even in the past, I think a couple of months back, when I was doing all these freelancing things and things like that, even I was sort of considering to get into devrel or become a developer advocate or something like that, because I mean, since I was already doing projects and it was eating up a lot of time which was completely unrelated to content development, I thought that if I want to work or anything like that, why not do devrel or anything like that. But it's just that I never reached out to anyone regarding that. It was just a thought. I still have that thought to get into Devrel or anything like that, because that would easily help me able to maintain my finances. And since the work is closely related to content creation only, then I'll be doing the same stuff more regularly. कम्युनिटी क्लासरूम के मेंटरशिप सेक्शन में रोड मैप्स है. मेंटरशिप. भाई लिंक भेज दो यार रोड मैप्स का. ढूंढने पड़ रहे हैं. अच्छा ये है क्या, फ्रंट एंड डेवलपमेंट, बैक एंड डेवलपमेंट. अंडरस्टैंडिंग इंटरनेट कोड वन. लर्निंग HTML CSS JavaScript version control. Understanding package managers. Learn build tools. ठीक है, I mean it's a good roadmap, decent roadmap. I'll have to see what resources are being given. But yeah, I mean the roadmap is good, no doubt about that. I mean that's how it should be. Yeah, so you can follow this roadmap, yeah, if you want to. WSL3 सही रहेगा क्या 4 GB रैम विंडोज़ लैपटॉप पे लिनक्स यूज़ करने के लिए? Yes, bro, you can use WSL3 and install the GUI drivers for it as well. And I think it will be fine. If you would have had 8 GB, then you could have gone with VM as well. Recession. What are your views on recession? Freelancer and developers gonna get impacted? I don't think they are going to get impacted because um, recessions, create opportunities for more markets. They create more markets, more players come into the market. Since more companies are coming into the market, more tech is going to be needed. So if it just keeps going on. So I don't think it will be impacted. Do you know WebDev Simplified YouTube channel? No, I don't. How much JS should I know before starting React? You should know at least basic to intermediate level. So Akshay says that bro, while applying for front-end internships, we have to be expert in it or beginners can apply for it. How it would be interview of internship? Can you share any plans or strategies to get internship? So, uh, I mean, no one can decide if you're a beginner or an expert, right? I mean, I still call myself beginners in a lot of things, right? So I mean that's a general mindset that you should have. So it's not about being expert or beginner. It's more about being having some knowledge about it, right? Having some knowledge about it, and if you have some knowledge about it, just apply for the internship, right? Don't be scared of failing the interview or being rejected by the company. There are a lot of opportunities available. You're going to come across a lot of opportunities, but this is also experience, right? I mean, you are asking me how it would be, how is the interview of the internships gonna be, right? So it's only because you never applied to an interview, right? So apply to it, look for yourself, right? Like get that experience for yourself, like how is it giving an interview for any internship or anything like that, right? Because the more experienced you are in giving interviews, the easier it is going to be to clear them, right? I mean, having skills is one thing, but being able to clear interviews is another thing, right? I've seen a lot of developers who are great at their skills but are still not able to clear interviews, right? The only reason is that they don't have enough exposure of giving interviews in the first place, right? So I mean, get that experience, apply for internships, and understand, look for yourself, see for yourself how it is like to give an interview for an internship, right? And you don't have to be beginner, you don't have to be advanced, you just need to have some knowledge about it, right? And have an open mind about even if you get rejected, you're going to ask them politely, why was I rejected? And you're going to get those points and work on them to improve, right? I have a cold, bro. Sort of pretty bad cold. I had to shoot a video today. Couldn't do. Should I buy a Mac or a Windows? MacBook. Future of web development. I think I've talked about it in my last stream. Computer networking के लिए best resource. Books. There are a lot of books available on computer networking. You can ask this question on Twitter as well. I mean, the people who are expert in computer networking, they are going to recommend resources, right? Why wait for a live stream to ask these questions? So Kiran says that buy Windows and install Linux. So that is also you can do if Mac is not something that is coming under your budget. But I mean personally, since I've used Mac for so many years, it's like I can't uh, let go of Mac anymore. Right? It's so easy to use. It has such a nice user experience, and I mean, I just can't get back to Windows anymore. In my PC, I have Linux installed right next to Windows, so it's fine. I mean, it gets the job done and anything like that. But talking about laptop and you know after experiencing what I've experienced using Mac for so many years, it's kind of a difficult transition to get back to Windows and Linux setup. So that's there. I mean, that's my personal point of view. There are people who enjoy Linux more than Mac, so it depends. Bro, how to write cold email? There are a lot of blogs available on how to write cold email. Uh, just start with a basic greeting, and take the title of your video. The sorry, the title of your email, right? Keep it friendly, because keep it friendly, keep it catchy, right? Start with a basic greeting, you know, and the entire point of writing a cold email is to, you know re- get get the person who is reading it to realize a problem and offer a solution to it, right? So just create a scenario, in your cold email, where you're, just discussing a general problem, कि ऐसा होता है वैसा होता है ये वो, and just, get to your solution. What are you offering? Maybe you're offering your freelancing services, whatever you're doing, right? And just send it, right? It's not there. But cold email, they still work, right? But you have to be very consistent, sending them every month or things like that, in order to make them work. I've not tried AstroJS. I'm not sure what this is. Summarize what's coming, anyone. So I'll summarize it. Right. So since we are going to create some videos on Git, and Hacktoberfest is coming, right? So, and I'm ending the live stream after this, because I think I can't go anymore. So since Hacktoberfest is coming, and we were already creating some videos on Git as well. The Git masterclass was gonna be there, and Hacktoberfest is coming. I find a lot of students who are asking me, questions about, how to approach a large code base when, going through repositories in open source, how to find repositories, how to, find good first issues. They're very overwhelmed about the entire process, right? So in order to, and personally, to be very honest, I am also someone who has hardly ever made any contributions in open source, but it's not something I'm overwhelmed with, right? I know it's pretty easy to make open source contributions. It helps you become parts of communities and things like that. So as a beginner, right, I want to create some walkthroughs. I won't say tutorials, but walkthroughs, where I'll be myself making some open source contributions, right from searching for repositories to going through their code bases to, finding good first issues and contributing to them, getting raising a PR, the back and forth that happen with the teams of maintainers and things like that, and getting my PR merged, right? So I'll be creating a series of walkthroughs. They won't be tutorials as such, but they would just be walkthroughs of how I am doing it, right? And since I am someone who is not an expert in open source, and since I am someone who am like hardly ever done any open source contribution, I think that my journey to contribute in open source is going to be pretty similar to how is it going to be for you. I'm going to come up with or face similar challenges that you are going to face, right? And since we are already doing GitHub along with it, then it has a pretty nice sync with it, creating a side mini series of videos on walkthroughs for open source. And along with that, Hacktoberfest is also coming, so you should definitely participate in it, and start contributing to open source, start becoming part of, communities. So that is the general, summary of what's coming. Coming back to why I didn't upload or couldn't upload a video today, was that I caught a cold, and I also have some fever as well. So I mean, uh, so yeah, I couldn't create a video, but this will be, I think it will get better in a couple of days. So as soon as it gets better, I will create a video. And I was prepared for creating a video. I got a haircut yesterday in order to shoot today, but it just didn't, um, wasn't meant to be to shoot today. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have any regrets in life? No. I don't have any regrets in life. And what about web dev bootcamp? So as I'm saying, the open source videos or walkthroughs that are going to be there, they are just going to be a side thing. They are not going to hinder with the web development bootcamp. Again, I mean, I mentioned that there are going to be some Git videos, and after that, we are going to get into front end development. So that is going to go as it is. It's just that there are going to be some walkthroughs if you want to get started with open source. If you haven't made a open source contribution before, then it is something that you can refer to just to understand, how to approach it, how to just go about it, right? So, but it won't affect the boot camp on web dev. What skills learned to contribute in Hacktoberfest? Well, first of all, you should be good with Git, decent with Git, not good, right? So you should have that, and apart from that, I mean, it depends. If you are contributing to a repository that's a tool for DevOps, or if you are contributing into a repository that's related to web development or things like that, it depends on what repository you are choosing. Based on that, you need to have some skills. But I mean, uh, I was reading an article on Hacktoberfest, and this time around, I think Hacktoberfest is also supporting low code to no code contributions as well. So you can translate, their documentations or anything like that into other languages. You can write some blogs for them, right? And you can do a lot of, things that don't usually require you some skills in coding or anything like that, right? So you can do all of that, and I'll maybe be more elaborate in a video. I'll have to research more about it. At what point can I start with web dev parallelly, since I'm currently doing DSA? uh Anytime. I mean, you should start today only. Start start with doing some start with a couple of hours of DSA daily, and the rest of the time that you have, you know spend it in learning web development if you want to do, right? Because I mean, DSA is something that you cannot do for a couple of months then leave it entirely while you are doing web development, because by the time you are done with web development, you come back to DSA, it will be all gone, right? DSA is something that requires practice daily, right? So anyway, I mean, you will have to practice daily. So the best thing to do is to spend 2 3 hours in DSA daily, and the rest of the time that you have, spend it in learning web dev, right? uh, Looking burned out. I'm not burned out, I'm just sick. ब्रो eagerly waiting for your videos, जल्दी जल्दी ठीक हो जाओ. आज ही डालनी थी यार. मेरे को तो आज ही डालनी थी. पता नहीं क्या है. पिछली लास्ट टाइम भी, आई मीन, आई वाज वर्किंग ऑन द वीडियोस, आई गॉट sick. Then after that I got into freelancing and all that stuff. This time also, I mean, I was literally just about to shoot today. I mean, I'm not sure what the fuck happened, but it's fine. I mean, it will be over. I'll be better in a couple of days, because it's just I just got this cold because of the change in weather, but it will be fine soon. Yes, we can start freelancing by the end of this year. I intend to cover that much content by then. Any videos on DevOps UX? Not sure. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'll write that down. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'll check it out what this is. Uh Does not having a degree be a hindrance for global conferences, like proposing purpose of visit for visa, or does it matter and same for everyone? Uh, Well, it kind of depends. If you don't have a degree for, so in my case, I mean, if I don't have a degree and if I want to apply for a visa, visit a conference online or anything like that, I don't have a degree, and they do ask this question that your highest education qualification is, high school and things like that. So you don't have a degree, so it might be a hindrance in that sense. But since I've been working since quite a few years now, and I filed my ITR in the last 3-4 years. So if I show them my tax history and my ITRs and everything like that, then it doesn't matter in that case. I mean, applying for visa and not having a degree. But if even if you don't have things like ITR and things like that, that will just tell them that you are financially capable, and to go abroad and come back to India, because their biggest fear is that you might go there and never come back, right? They don't want to look for you. So if you are able to prove yourself financially, or if I mean, education is just that you're qualified enough, so I mean, and you're educated enough, so they just expect that you wouldn't do this kind of thing, right? But if you have some bank details or ITR and things like that that you can show, then also I mean, you uh, will able to easily get the visa. Yeah, so Hassan says that being a student helps in proposing purpose or visa unless you are not a working individual. So that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, if you're not having a degree, then you're not a student, right? But that doesn't necessarily means that you would be working as well. So when you're in that middle ground, I also talked about it in one of my videos as well, things to consider before dropping out of college. So if you're in the middle space where you're not a student, right? Just because you are not doing a college degree or anything like that, but you're also not a working individual who is already making money, files their ITR and things like that, then I mean, it's going to be very difficult to get the visa, right? So good point. Please tell, bro, should I learn? You could go with either, both of them are good. Bootstrap is more legacy, so I mean, Bootstrap is being used in a lot of projects that are out there, but all the newer projects and some of the older projects as well are still, have started shifting to Tailwind, or they start with Tailwind. So either one of them is good. They are both similar in how they work, right? So you don't have to worry about, if I learn Bootstrap, I won't be able to do Tailwind, or if I learn Tailwind, I won't be able to do Bootstrap. They are both similar in concept. They are just fundamentally some differences that are there. So you can go with either after doing vanilla CSS. Is IGNO BCA a good option? Uh, IGNO CSM might be a good option, might not be a good option. I am an IGNO BCA dropout. I started my BCA from IGNO and I dropped out in my first semester. Right? Will you continue college for degree? No. I'm done with that. Uh, okay, guys, I think that's MIT Open Courseware Introduction to Computer Science course. I think you asked this question to Shanu also in his yesterday's stream, and he answered it pretty much perfectly, that he is no one to comment on MIT's open sourceware course, open courseware, right? So same applies to me. I'm not someone who is capable enough to comment on MIT's course, right? Because they are created by people who already have PhDs and have 30 40 years of experience in um, you know all this teaching and tech and things like that. So who am I to like even comment on that? I am from Hyderabad. Is that what you wanted me to read, Akshay? Can I get good full stack internships without React? Uh, I mean, it's a bit difficult. React is pretty much, needed. It's used in a lot of products as a front end technology. So if you don't know React is going to be a plus. Still, you can get some internships if you're talking about internships, not a job, but if you're talking about internships, still you can get a few internships without React. But if you're talking about jobs, then I don't think you will get a full stack job without React. And even for internships, if you know React, it's going to be a bonus, like brownie points for you in interviews, right? So I think that's pretty much it for this stream. I'm gonna go rest a little bit, and yeah, I mean, I'll try to. Hopefully, I'll get better in a couple of days. So I'll try to post the video as soon as I'm better. I'll shoot it as soon as possible and upload it. And in the meantime, I'll also work on some repositories for the mini open source series that I want to create before Hacktoberfest, so that once the get video is created and uploaded, we can immediately start with uh, the open source as well. I mean, I don't have to spend time worrying about content or anything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. And bye everyone. And have a nice day. Have a good night. It's already 8:30, and I'm going to play Witcher 3 for some time because my brain is not working. So yeah, I mean, I'll see you guys later this week, right? Okay, bye.